Hey there friends, Amanda here, Bare Bones Living. Welcome back. And today I am butchering Beans, our pig. And this is the first pig that we have ever raised here on our homestead and dispatched. We got him at about 8 weeks old in April. He was born in March, and he was 10 months old. He's an Idaho pasture pig, and I do not know exactly what his weight was, what his live weight was, or his hanging weight for that matter. I have guesstimates. I did the measuring method. And I think the first, if you've watched any of my previous videos, I measured him a couple weeks ago after I went to my friend's house and watched them butcher their pigs and stuff like that. And I measured him then, and I think that his girth measurement was off. I think I measured him too far down on his girth. You're really supposed to get like right underneath his armpit. But I measured him again the day before we dispatched him, and by measuring him, he came out at 306 pounds. And that's girth times length divided by 400. And he came out at 306. After we dispatched him, we did buy a scale that was supposed to take, that weighs up to like 600 pounds or whatever. But we don't have any heavy machinery and we don't have any barns here. So hanging him, we hung him from a tree. We used a deer gamble with kind of a chintzy rope. And then to pull him up, we tied him to our zero-turn tractor. And we had to scald him, we have nothing to swing him back and forth on or move him once he's hung, right? Because he's hanging from a tree, he's stationary. He could just go up and go down. And we scalded him in a 55-gallon drum. And so we had to fill the drum where he was going to be scalded and then lift his body next to it and hold the drum back to hoping that we didn't knock it over with his body weight, because we've never done this before. And so we pulled him up on the scale, and my brother-in-law was there helping us, and he was on the side that could read it, and he said that at one point it said 280, but then he was also kind of pushing up against the 55-gallon drum, so he's somewhere between 280 and 300-ish with all of his organs and all the stuff. And we did not take a hanging weight because we would just have to lift him up and down and up and down and up and down so many times. I did not want to eviscerate him and do all the things on that scale because I didn't want to damage the scale. So I'm okay not knowing an exact weight. He's somewhere north of 280. So that's good enough for me. This video is not a how-to at all. Like I said, this is our very first pig. I'm just showing you what I am doing and how I'm using this pig. I've never butchered a pig before. I've watched videos. I will be referencing this book a lot. It's a very nice, detailed, really great book that shows cuts and things like that on anything from poultry, rabbit, lamb, goat, and pork. So And it's all about, slaughtering and butchering. So I'm probably going to just show you bits and pieces of it. And I'm just going to dive right in and start doing some stuff. Now, being that this is my first time, I'm sure there are many people out there watching this that have done this before or seen somebody do this. And I probably will make mistakes. Like I said, am a total novice at this. And that's okay. I'm just going to get better as I do this more and more. This is a very intimidating situation here. I have personally slaved over this animal day in and day out for 10 months. I have a lot invested in this animal, and I want to do the best job that I can to give my family good quality meat. I don't want to ruin anything. You know, this is all just my thinking. But in watching more skilled people than I, and I do watch other people and read other things, and I have references and stuff like that. And I was listening to Han Hewn Farm speak a lot. And one of the things that they said, which really stuck with me, was there is no way to ruin your meat. There is no way to ruin your pig. The cut is just a cut. If it's not perfect, who cares? I'm either going to cut a pork chop that is too thick or too thin, or I'm going to have a roast that's too thick or too thin, or, you know, whatever. You're not going to actually mess anything up. So that made me feel a lot better. Another thing that made me feel a lot better is that this is a lot of meat. I have to cure a ham. I have to cure the bacon, like all these things. I don't have to do any of that today, right now. I can cut him up and package him and deal with all of these cuts of meat on another day if I need to, if I want to. I can cure that ham anytime I want. I can cure the bacon anytime I want. So this video is just as much for me as it is for you. And again, the more I do this, the better I'm going to get. And I'm super excited to get started and really get to finally see this meat that I have been waiting for. Like I said, this is an Idaho pasture pig. They're supposed to have a really great meat to fat ratio, and I'm excited to see what we get in here. So I guess on that, let's just get going. I'm just going to pull out this cull fat, which I probably could have pulled out in the beginning, but that's all right. And being that it's our first time, this is not the cleanest meat and cleanest carcass. One of the mistakes that we realized that we made was that we didn't clean off the trotter completely. We stopped kind of at like the ankle. And we also didn't do the best job at getting all the hair off in like the crevices, all the hard portions where joints are. So there is still hair on this animal. I'm picking hairs out, but all that can be removed. We're not perfect. And that just is what it is. Mist. Very sticky. Oh, goodness gravy. Here's a tenderloin. Almost through. Golly. Golly gee. That's a mighty ham. Alright. Alright, so now I have the belly and loin here. I have the front shoulder there. And then I have the ham down there in my bucket. And I have a lot of cleaning up to do to make it pretty. I think I cut too far down. Should have cut up here more. So I took some off of the ham, but again, I'm learning. And nothing's ruined. It just is what it is, right? So I have a little extra meat here. And I didn't go exactly straight here. And again, I think I probably could have cut here. But now I have more meat. I plan on using this front shoulder as all sausage, so I have more sausage than bacon, because you can see here this would be, look at that. Ooh, that is some beautiful looking meat right there. It looks like a tomahawk steak right there too. So I got some more cutting up to do, cleaning up to do, but I have it in 3 sections. So then I had Mike come out and help me cut across these ribs, and we were using his Sawzall. I don't know where it went. Oh yeah, it's behind me. I was using his Sawzall, and we tried using this big blade that we used when we cut him in to make this cut right here when we cut him in half. But these teeth are too big, and they were just like skipping across this. So he put on a different blade, and we were able to cut across these ribs. That's looking really nice. So here I have 4 slabs of bacon, and you can just see here on these slabs, they're gorgeous. Obviously the skin is still on, and I still have to cure these. And then this is that end that I cut off too much. So this one, I'm not really sure how this is going to turn out, but it is what it is. So put these in here. So I'm running out of some light here, so I'm just going to try to show you this real quick. But these are our bone-in pork chops. This would be your baby back ribs if you were to take these out, but we like bone-in. And so I have to get between each vertebrae here, each rib. And I'm just using my big butcher knife, and I'm finding the joint in between, so you can see here that there's little gaps in between each one of these vertebrae, and I'm just finding that joint and getting my knife in between there, and then just using pressure to pop through. And of course when I do this it's going to be hard to pop through the spine itself. There it goes. Oops. And then I'm going to cut down the rest. Oh, a little bit more to pop through. There we go. I don't have a bandsaw, and I don't want to tear up my meat with our Sawzall, so that's what I am doing. So these are super thick pork chops. I have one right here, and you can see just how thick they are. And I still have the skin on the back side of this loin. I hope my shadow isn't casting too much. I have a shop light on the other side of me, trying to illuminate this. The lighting in this tiny house is not the best. So I'm just cutting through this skin here. That's why I switched to my boning knife, because it's sharper. And I could cut off all the skin prior to doing this, so that I wouldn't be struggling at this point. I don't know if that's better or worse. But then I have this big chop here, but I still have the skin and all this fat. So at this point, I'm just going to look at this pork chop and say, I want there to be this much fat on here. And kind of trace along there. So it's nice that you can choose how much fat you want on your pork chop. And then I'll set it back down so I can just cut through that. it didn't go all the way through. There we go. So there is our pork chop. And here. Add that to my pile, and then now I can take this back fat off of this skin. And I can just cut in half and then go along the skin on the bottom. And it's not actually as you'd think I would just slice through it like butter, or at least I thought I would slice through it like butter. It's actually, you gotta use a little bit of pressure on it to get it off. So I'll just add this to my lard. Go. Not too bad. And I'll just continue on doing that, but I wanted to show you while I still had some light. But, dang, that looks yummy. And it's so big. This would feed 2 of us in my family. Alright, so here we are, day 2. Sorry for the different angles here where you have terrible lighting in this tiny house, and trying to use lighting as best I can. Natural lighting. So day 1 went fairly well. It was just slow and steady pace. I was able to divide the half of beans into primals, and then I broke down all of the loin and belly. I cut up the chops, and I cleaned up the belly and portioned it up into 4 different chunks of bacon so that we can try some different recipes. Stay tuned for that. That'll be a whole nother video. And then I stopped there for yesterday. And it was exhausting and a lot of work. And so today I'm going to try to finish the half a hog. And here I have the ham. And what I'm going to do with this ham, I still have the ham and the shoulder left to process. And I'm starting with the ham because I'm thinking, God willing, that this ham is going to be easier because I'm going to use it as our holiday ham. So I'm not going to be really cutting this up. I'm going to be cleaning it up and portioning it out and then cutting it into multiple hams because this is a big piece of meat. But this portion here is going to be our holiday ham. I might make another ham out of the bigger chunk. Then I'm going to have the hock and the trotter. Well, that's not exactly where it was supposed to be, but I was getting frustrated.
Not bad for my first hand carving, I guess.
Now the sun is like, whoa, right in my eyes. So I'm gonna lean forward. So these are my 2 picnic roasts. I don't even know if this is actually how you cut a picnic roast. I just cut, this was the whole picnic roast and it was just gigantic, so I just cut it in half, and there was no bone in it, so that was easy. The bone is in this portion, but we are turning this all into ground, so I'll deal with that bone as I part this out and chunk it up to put it into my meat grinder. So there's one big chunk. Here's another chunk, but smaller, that I can dice up. And then I took all the skin off the hock, but egads, that's a huge hawk. I could probably cut that into 2 and make that 2 different meals. But stay tuned for how we use all of these cuts and prepare them and things like that in future videos coming up fairly shortly, I hope. I do believe I am done parting out my first half of my first hog. And I'm tired, but I'm super excited, I'm super happy, and it all gets better from here, right? Well, I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you guys for stopping by today and joining in on our journey here at Bare Bones Living. We'll catch you on the next one.